DJI is suing the FCC.
DJI is taking the FCC to court.
DJI just sued the FCC.
DJI sues to challenge U.S. import ban on new models.
So Drone 5.0 fam, let's talk about the DJI versus the FCC lawsuit, just the facts. Because if your phone looks like mine right now, you're probably getting texts that say, should I dump my fleet? Should I still buy DJI? And should I be worried? Let's slow down, deep breath. This is not the end of DJI. The recent rulings were not a mass grounding. This is just the beginning of a legal fight, and it matters a lot. But first, a quick disclaimer. This is based on analysis, based on what I know. I'm not giving legal advice, and I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody except myself. Just some perspective from a professional who lives in the UAS ecosystem daily. And also, please like and subscribe if this content is helpful. It really takes time to research, film, and edit high-quality content. Help me out. So what actually happened? Let's rewind to December 2025 when the FCC placed DJI on what's called the covered list. That designation prevents new DJI models from receiving FCC authorization. And without FCC authorization, you can't legally import or sell those models in the US. That's the trigger. Then in February 2026, DJI filed suit in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals challenging that decision. So this is active litigation. Not a final ban, not a confiscation, not a criminal issue, a courtroom battle. So let's look at what is DJI actually arguing. First, procedure. The NDAA required a national security audit of foreign drones before the deadline. The deadline came and went. No completed public audit. The FCC defaulted them onto the list because the deadline expired. I have to agree. If Congress requires a process, you should finish the process. That's not radical. The second argument, due process. DJI argues that they were effectively blacklisted from the US market without being presented specific technical findings and given a meaningful opportunity to respond. That's a Fifth Amendment issue, and whether you love DJI or not, due process matters. If the government can remove one company's market access without an evidentiary process, that precedent may end up extending far beyond drones. And third, scope. DJI argues the FCC listed broad categories of communication and video surveillance equipment instead of evaluating specific products. So let's talk about the Ninth Circuit. People keep asking, why did they file there? Well, DJI has major US operations in California, so jurisdictionally, it makes sense. But also, if you're arguing that the agency skipped procedural steps and you were denied due process and authority was exceeded, you file in a circuit with deep administrative law history. The Ninth Circuit has extensive experience reviewing federal agency decisions. So how should we view this? Right now, your existing DJI drones are legal to fly. There's no grounding order, there's no confiscation. You're not breaking the law by owning your currently authorized fleet. So let's stop that rumor now. But we're just frozen in time. New models that require fresh FCC authorization can't move forward. And that matters because whether you're public safety, commercial, or consumer, DJI has driven performance standards for a decade. But what about the consumer side? Here's something that doesn't get enough airtime. DJI set the entry-level price floor. Less than $1,000 gets someone into really high-quality equipment. That pathway feeds future commercial drone pilots, future public safety aviators, and future engineers. If that ladder disappears, the industry doesn't disappear, but the barrier to entry rises, and many segments of the market won't be able to sustain. So what could happen? And again, this is informed opinion. First possibility, the court upholds the FCC. If the Ninth Circuit finds that the FCC acted within its authority and followed required procedures, then the designation may stay. 2, the court could find procedural errors. The court could say, you didn't follow the administrative procedure properly, and that would likely send the case back to the FCC to redo the process. That could slow this down significantly. Or 3, the court finds a due process violation if the court agrees DJI was denied meaningful opportunity to respond. The designation could receive an injunction, and that would be a major development. Or last, Congress steps in. This is important. If the court finds that the FCC lacks statutory authority, Congress can grant it, and quickly. Courts interpret, Congress legislates. So unfortunately, a courtroom win does not necessarily equate to permanent policy shifts. So here's my take. Regardless of how you feel about geopolitics, this lawsuit raises serious questions about procedural fairness and regulatory authority, and those questions deserve to be tested in court, because precedent in this space will shape more than just drones. It will shape how emerging technology companies are treated in national security contexts moving forward. And I still hold the same opinion. If there are concerns, show us the proof. We want to see it. So bottom line, This isn't just about one company, it's about whether process matters. Can the innovation that millions rely on be sidelined without an evidentiary standard? The courts will decide if the FCC stayed within the procedural guardrails of federal law. So wrapping up, DJI pushed sensor quality. They made aviation accessible. They lowered the barrier to entry, and they changed what small aircraft could do for everybody. That ecosystem grew because it delivered, and now it's being tested. So if you're flying DJI for public safety, agricultural, commercial, or media purposes, drop a comment. Are you diversifying your fleet or waiting it out? Let me know.